Welcome everybody to our True Self Talk here on Skype Live. This session is about these current collective energies that we are experiencing as energetically sensitive people, and the True Self energy healing session is for us to really dive deeper into the inner experience of that. So that it's not just me talking about things, but it's also an opportunity for you, for all of us, to cultivate this relationship with our true self. I'm going to talk about this here now, what this even means. My name is Jona Bryndis, spiritual counselor, energy healer, and coach. And I would like to invite you guys to share a little bit of this inner experience that you are having, that you just had, during the session. If you weren't in the session, you may still have inner experiences. So let's talk about this a little bit. How are you experiencing your reality right now? Be it on a physical, be it on an emotional, on a mental, on a social, on a spiritual, or if you can pinpoint this, energetic / etheric level. Feel free to share. There were some themes that came up in this session that we just finished here energetically. And really all that does is allowing you, those of you who came to the session, to witness these things that I report about, or that some of the others here report about for yourself. So bringing this closer together now, see those true self energy sessions that are free here at transCODES. This is my 12th year that I'm doing this every month as your opportunity to cultivate and to become more aware of your inner experience. Who dares to share?
Hi, it's Annette.
Hi, Annette. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Denmark.
Hi.
Hi.
Happy summer solstice to Denmark.
Thank you. For me, today, it feels like I had another understanding that others have their stuff too. And it feels like I could have more compassion for others, although I could feel that they project something to me, and I could feel that it's really important for me not to react as I have done so many times before. I have get irritated and then reacted, but I could feel that my true self don't like that.
Did you have a debate with your true self?
Yeah, I could feel it was really important. Because my true self don't like the reaction.
Wow.
And I have write down it's not so important to convince other people that I'm right, because then they are wrong. And it was that in the, and it was my takeaway.
I'm speechless. Those of you who co-facilitated the session with me, do you hear what Annette just said? It's the essence of this true self experience that we all just had together. Yeah. Spot on, Annette. I mean, obviously, it's not about us judging it. It's about you expressing it. You expressing what you just shared with us here is truth.
Yeah.
And you know, when I use my words to contextualize, yeah, what is going on here energetically as I was protocoling all your guys' individual energies, I couldn't have said it better. You just gave us your inner experience, as I like to call it, yeah, of what this is about. This doesn't even have anything to do with solstice. Solstice is just the outer weather condition right now, and it makes a stand right between those two different parts of us that you just described. Yeah, do you know what these two different parts of you are that are wanting to come together, that are wanting for you to see this? Yeah, how it takes you out of your truth when you judge others for simply having a different experience than you do.
Yes,
Or
it's when I'm in my ego mode.
it's when you're in your ego mode, right? The ego pulls us into our polarities. It pulls us into this right or wrong or black and white. I like how you said that, you know, that trying to convince others, for example, trying to be right makes others wrong when we're in our ego mode. And then when we are on the other extreme, and this is maybe somebody else's experience here, yeah, when we're just letting everybody do whatever they want and no boundaries and just go with the flow, well, then it can also lead to an imbalance in us, namely that we feel constantly wrong. We question ourselves all the time. So the goal is not, yeah, to be either or. It's about the balance. It's about finding the middle ground here. And guess what we find there? There is where we find truth. There is where we find the needed neutrality, yeah, to, like you said, to even internalize that other people have stuff too. They have things that they go through, and they have the right to experience it in the way that they're experiencing it, even if we disagree with it. Doesn't make them wrong. Yeah. It just means that, well, me for myself, yeah, because I know myself, yeah, I've cultivated this relationship with myself. I prefer to look at it this way. Yeah, well, I prefer, you know, to handle it this way. So that's very, very beautiful. I was going to say in the intro, but then I figured if I don't preoccupy anybody, it's more powerful when you actually come forward with your own experiences. That this session was very much about sort of an inventory. Yeah, like an inventory. We were supposed to look at it all. Yeah, like, oh, here's me doing this, and here's me doing this, and here's me choosing that. And which one is actually true to me? Which one is the most meaningful to me? Which one is healing to me? Which choice is good for me and or for others? Yeah, so this is very much, in a nutshell, what this session allowed us to experience. And I'm very happy that you had this insight on it and that you took this away from this session. It's a very important spiritual insight. Yeah. Any other experiences that you guys would like to share here? By the way, Annette, just real quick, I can confirm this to you because I was reading your guys' energy fields throughout the session. For you, it really is about congruence. Yeah, congruence, to really, you know, not criticizing yourself or judging yourself, but to really go into and like ask yourself, is this my truth? Is this really who I am? Am I expressing who I am through what you mentioned defending yourself as an example? Is this who I am? Not really. Yeah, and to come to this point and having this awareness is huge in a person's life because it allows you to discern your inner truth. No, that's not who I am. Oops, but it already came out. Oops, I already did this. Maybe, and this is then the part that you also mentioned, I need to reconcile this. Maybe I have to kind of go back to that person and just say that, maybe it came out wrong, or maybe, it was a bit too judgmental what I said, just to feel more congruent with yourself, to feel more integrous with yourself. This is what I call cultivating your inner relationship with truth. Yeah, you go into this place where you ask yourself, is this really expressing who I am?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. How did you guys, or how are you? Yes, it's possible that you're still feeling this. Experience the energies right now in your body. For many people, the physical part is the easiest to talk about. How are you feeling yourself right now in your body? I can tell you how I feel in my body right now. It's just been going on for a couple of days. It feels very scattered in my body. It feels kind of ADHD. I have a really hard time holding focus. I often find myself running around into a different room, and then I'm like, oh, I forgot what I wanted here. I go back. Oh, now I remember. And then I try to go back and something new comes in. So I feel very scattered in my body. It feels very electric. My nervous system feels very, I don't want to say agitated. There's no, at least not in me. And I wasn't picking up on that in most people. It doesn't feel anxious. It just feels a bit tense. That's how I feel these solstice energies in my body right now. And it leads to me emotionally feeling a little confused, emotionally confused. So if I hadn't practiced and cultivated my energetic and spiritual organs in me, I would probably feel a little bit like in limbo. But because I have trained that, I can ask myself, wait. You're feeling kind of weird right now. Yeah. And there's a part of me, yeah, my ego that wants to say, oh, it's because of him and it's because of her and it's because this and this and this. But is this really true? No, it really isn't. It just is. Okay. So right now I'm feeling that way. And I calm my emotions down by telling myself, you know what? Let's just take a deep breath. Let's just be here. Yeah. And feel my body a little more. Yeah. Also, notice that I'm breathing very shallowly these last days. And as I'm doing that, I'm calming down emotionally. I don't necessarily have to have an opinion about things. I'm just like, okay. Yeah. And my mind starts slowing down. And boop, now I can remember again. Now I can feel what I'm thinking again. That's really important. It's not just enough to allow your head to think on its own. Yeah, because then 80% of your thoughts aren't really your own, and 90% of those keep repeating anyway. So it's not actually very cool what's going on in your head. Yeah, from an I don't know, intelligence standpoint, it's a lot of it is repetition. And when you get into the scattered place Okay, it's just a constant overload, a constant push and pull in your head. Where you go like, huh, 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 and it's just like the same thing over and over again. And this can lead to people become very agitated if they can't keep their emotions in control. Now, spiritually, this is the part here that has to do with our relationships and with my heart connection. Okay, I need to engage in, like, say, listening or reading or talking about spiritual subjects right now. I have a very, very strong spiritual journey right now, this affinity, yeah, to feel into the meaning of life, yeah, and to give, all this that I am experiencing, the totality of it, yeah, some deeper meaning. And I do this for a living, as you know. I get to talk to people about this all day long, and I get to do lectures and I get to do workshops and all that. So for me, I can follow this. And when I'm not talking to you or clients, I am listening to lectures myself, or I'm reading and I'm studying. Yeah, and this helps me to withstand this agitation, this pressure that comes in from the outside, from D3D, like, oh, collapse here and reset there, and this, and COVID, and financials, and environment, and all that. That's all 3D stuff, right? That affects me too. Yeah. But as I am cultivating the inner experience, yeah, the spiritual experience of 3D, I can recognize the meaning that this information, or that this sort of projection that is coming in from the outside, that it has for me. And it allows me to sort it. It allows me to discern it. I'm like, yeah, okay, I guess that's where it's going to go. AI and crypto and all that. Yeah. It's part of our human evolution, yeah, to learn how to master technology. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess that's where it's going to go, with all the environmental changes. Yeah, the planet has an evolution of itself. And my spiritual understanding allows me to understand that I am part of Gaia's evolutionary journey. I am part of it. She responds to us. That's the meaning that this has for me. It allows me to make predictions. It allows me to say, yeah, we're probably going to see some earthquakes here in the next 2 weeks. Because I can feel her, just like how I can tune into my children, or into my husband, or into the children that I work with, or the co-workers, and I can feel where they're at. I can feel the people out there in traffic and at the grocery store, and I can see that they are very scattered. Yeah, I can see these polarities in people, and it gives me the ability to discern my own truths. And then obviously etherically, energetically, not everyone here is trained in that, but that gives me another level of that, another level of discernment. And when we do these energy sessions, then we train all of this. We train all these different layers of our perception with ourselves, guys, leading to self-healing. Without cultivating these organs in us that allow us to perceive that, it's very difficult for us to know what is good for us, what is healthy for us, what is healing for us, what is good for us, what is abundant for us, what is expressive, what is purposeful for us. Or, yeah, especially in this month, what we are being destined to do, yeah, the kind of future that we're getting pulled into for ourselves, what needs to come into expression. That's what this inner experience is for. And some point, I think in the instructions for the True Self session, I say it's the beginning and the end of your journey. To cultivate this relationship with your true self, because it is the relationship with truth that is coming into expression when you go deeper into your inner experience of self. Any other sharings, any other things that you would like to comment or that you would like to inquire about? Is everything that you're experiencing right now in your life just how it always is? According to, I don't know, program, or are you feeling different these days?
Feeling
Jona
very...
Matthew here.
Hi.
Go.
Okay, who wants to go first?
No, Matthew, you can.
Hi, Matthew. Where are you calling from?
I'm in South Africa. Yeah, I just resonated to a bit of a neutral state the last 36 hours. Like being able to see the woods for the trees is the best sort of description of that I can see versus the thoughts in chaos and observations. But in a calmness space, if that resonates,
Nice.
really calm, really every breath's chosen, really. You know what I mean? It's choose the next breath and how it's going to play out.
Yes, one of our co-facilitators said, Annetta, I think it was you, right? It's like this, well, you didn't say in the eye of the storm, but you said there was a perfect storm forming around you. And to be able to feel this calm that you describe, Matthew, we need to somehow find that space within ourselves that shields us from that storm, that shields us from that chaos, I think you said. Yeah. And once we can experience that this is possible, it gives us a new meaning. Okay, so what you just described with your own words, Matthew, is a certain state. And that state is something that we can seek, we can cultivate that state, we can get there. And I think you've mentioned, there was a little bit of a buzz in the background, but I think you've mentioned something about breathing. Did you? Did you just say something about the breath?
Yeah, I said basically going into every breath is just like
Yes.
the chosen breath.
Yes.
It's not like we just
Yes.
breathing. It's go and choose each breath.
Yes. Oh my God, that's exact. Astrid, you called it the soul breath. Okay. This conscious breath, and it's all it takes. It's all it takes. Yeah. So if you guys are watching this and you're still at the very beginning, say, of your spiritual contemplations, and your maybe your awakening, or you're trying to connect with something, but you're not really quite sure how to, then just remember that what Matthew just said. Conscious breath. That's how you cultivate this. That's how you connect with your I am, or with your true self. The true self is the mediator to your soul self, to that spirit being that lives in you. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to do this, yeah, or you don't have to wear red socks, or you don't have to have crystals with you. All you got to do is to remember to take a really deep breath, and especially a really deep out breath. Yeah, for those of you who are familiar with yoga, who are familiar with breathing techniques, no matter what kind of school, most of the breathing techniques that we are familiar with nowadays come from the Eastern practices, from the Eastern spiritual teachings. But there's something very, very simple to it. There is a moment of feedback that we go into when we focus on our breath. Yeah, every psychologist can explain that to you. Yeah, where you then connect with yourself. And it's not just about conscious breathing, just as in like reminding yourself to maybe breathe a little deep, or the famous belly breath. And instead of like pulling in your belly, to actually expand your belly, to really expand your diaphragm. It's not just that, guys. It's about breathing in with the breath and breathing out with the breath. It's following the breath. And feel how it pulls in energy into you, like how this oxygen is spreading into each and every cell of yours. This is what we call I am awareness, guys. You're becoming aware of yourself and each and every cell in you, and it is filled with life. In that moment where you do this, you are filling yourself with yourself. And that is how we can learn to discern truth. That is how we can tune into our inner truth. There is no fancy energy work technique needed for connecting with yourself. Now, you can take this a step further and practice how to breathe into your heart. And you can take this another step further and learn how to connect with your chakras, with your energy centers, and thus cultivate the formation and the well, I want to say, really the execution of these organs in you that allow you to feel the non-material, the more spiritual essence, the soul essence of yourself. So the true self represents the mediator between this 3D self, that experiences the world mostly in this material way and responds to this material life with the ego, the part in us that has a certain way of intuitively, instinctively, the intuition is still part of our ego, guys, to react to things in a pre-programmed way. And it is then when you connect with your true self that you begin to become able to see which of these parts aren't really true to you or no longer true to you, that you want to let go of and that you would rather develop. That's then the beginning of this true self connection. Emer, I can see your name here. Did you want to share a little bit about your true self experience?
Hi, Jona. I'm so sorry. I'm just after coming on. I didn't make it. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Literally just after coming on this moment.
Okay, no worries. You have participated in true self sessions before, so you know what we're talking about. This session and this time here, the solstice time, is very much about us finding the balance between all these different ways of perceiving reality, and it can make us a little confused and scattered at the moment. That's what most people have reported here. And
Jona, I'm feeling sort of like these bouts of anxiousness and real self-doubt, and a feeling of that I'm not doing a good enough job and stuff is my fault and I'll be caught out, even though none of that makes any sense.
You missed what Aneta shared here when Matthew shared here, because they were addressing that, like
Okay.
how it is that, when you get pulled to one or the other side too much, that we then become this judgmental and opinionated and, going, farther away from our inner truth. So what's cool about what you just said is that there's a part of you that does report to you that it's not right. It's not all your fault. And it's not that, you're
Yeah.
picking up on stuff and you kind of deep down know
Yeah.
that it's not about you. This is the current energetic weather condition that we are in.
And it's like a fear of authority, even though I know that I, don't have a fear of authority, but yet these fears of authority are creeping in,
Yeah, so that's
When,
interesting. We haven't talked about that yet. The fear of an authority, of an
yeah.
outer, it's something outer, it's an outer authority. Yeah, that there's
Yeah.
somebody or something or some power kind of judging us based
Yes.
or perhaps even punishing us. Yeah, because that's where the
Yes.
anxiety comes from, right? The anxiety comes from I'm being watched. Yeah.
And very much like I know that it's BS, okay? But I know that times before I have been maybe thrown to the lions, and it's currently going on in my family, I guess. And in different work situations I have been thrown to the lions and tried to explain myself, but I know now it's that I know that it's a way that people protect themselves. It's not just about me, but I do know that 80 or 90% of people maybe protect themselves by showing other people up. I don't know. So it's a weird sort of a worry, and all I'm doing is putting my shoulders back, putting a smile on my face, and saying no.
A good way to reframe, being thrown into the lion's den, being thrown in front of the lions, apart from the spiritual meaning that you also refer to here, like maybe previous lifetimes and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is that you recognize that when you are in that situation, you don't have to excuse others why they're doing it. You're absolutely right. They do have their own defense mechanisms, but no matter how you twist or turn it, throwing somebody else in front of the lions, to save your own skin may not necessarily be the most integrous thing after all, but that's something that they need to figure out with themselves. That's their karma that will take care of that. But the way to reframe that is to rather see those situations as an opportunity for growth, as an opportunity to really step into your truth. And we were just talking about how to do that, but first and foremost, taking a really, really deep breath, okay? And then following that breath along and going into that feedback with yourself, okay? All right, it's always rough when we get put on the spot. And to really feel deep within, what is true to me? What is healthy for me? What is healing for me? What is integrous for me? What is good for me? Yeah, what is abundant for me? And then make a stance for that. Not for you, the personality that you are, or the position that you have, or the identity that others want you to have, or that you think you should have. No. You know what? This is who I am. And this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm choosing. And for all of you guys out there who feel you have to explain yourself, that's the other extreme. That's also part of this pendulum, or the seesaw. Don't explain yourself. It is enough to say, I'm doing this because this is my integrity, and this is who I am. This is what I want to express.
Okay.
Who we are and the true essence of who we are, guys, is not something that was given to us at some point, and we just need to dig it out. No, who we are needs to come to an expression. Who we are does not cause our reality. It is our choices, the totality of all our manifestations, yeah, all our thoughts and sentiments and what we say and what we do in every situation that brings us into manifestation, that brings our true self into manifestation. And there's a constant feedback. So what I just said was recursive, okay? Think of it this way. The eye, your eye, okay, can perceive light, can perceive others. Do you think that the eye was there before light was there? Sorry, guys, I have a helicopter flying over me here for a second. Do we have eyes before there is something that needs to be seen? This is a very important spiritual contemplation. Yeah, it's the chicken and the egg question. Nature converses.
Say it again, Jona. I don't understand it fully. Do we have?
What is it that you experiencing there? You're questioning yourself, right? When you're being thrown in front of the lions.
Yeah.
Right? And the anxiousness that you described earlier, where does it go? It goes into like, oh, maybe I'm making a mistake. Oh,
Yeah.
they're not seeing me. They're misunderstanding me. I'm not good enough, right? All this. Okay.
And also, why am I kind of stupid enough to get caught again or something? Why am I not smart enough to be able to outsmart this?
Okay.
Nonsense.
And I just gave you the key how to outsmart this.
Right.
Stop asking yourself those questions and ask yourself different questions instead. What would it feel like if I would no longer be in those situations? Yeah. What would it feel like if somebody puts me on a spot and I just walk out and say, well, I'm doing this because that's who I am?
It's pretty cool.
Well, I know what this sounds like when I say this, guys. There's a very deep spiritual truth behind that. And that is that we bring our own truth into expression through bringing it into expression. And for as long as we are questioning it, for as long as we are going into this conflict with it, our outer world and our outer experience of ourselves is conflicted. Something that Annette shared here at the beginning of the session, where she had this like sort of really reconciling and balancing experience within herself, out of herself. Yeah, that it's not about being right or wrong. This is extremely important, guys, because when it's no longer about right and wrong, then you also don't need to be afraid of being wrong anymore, right? And every situation where you're being put on the spot gives you an opportunity to bring your truth into expression. That's the reframing. So no longer look at these situations as like, oh, look at them as like, yes, I'm looking forward to that. Because I know that every time I step into my truth, I am cultivating that it becomes stronger. I become stronger. My I am awareness becomes stronger. Truth in me becomes stronger. The spiritual being in me, my soul, becomes stronger. And with it, my consciousness that allows me to understand what it is that I'm doing here, why I'm here, what the meaning of all of this is. Maybe it's just that, guys. Maybe the reason why this feels so repetitive, yeah, why so many of you discover all these karmic patterns in your life is because it is. Because you're supposed to learn that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is
It seems so obvious when you put it that way, but sometimes, like when you're living life, it doesn't seem that obvious, right? But it's just
no.
like so obvious.
No, but it is obviously, and you know, there's a new age, there's a lot of transfiguration of that word or that, you know, statement here. That said, there was obviously trauma, there's obviously things that occur in our life that is not our fault. So I'm not saying that everything that we're experiencing is our fault. What I'm saying is everything that we are experiencing is an opportunity for us to go into a more true, more healthy, more integrous, more, well, congruent, more abundant expression of ourselves. That's what I'm saying. And yes, sometimes it's extremely challenging. But this is what gives all of that meaning, guys. And this is why so many people feel anxiousness or anxiety and depression, because they cannot make that step. And why can they not make that step? Because they're standing, you know, if you look at it as a seesaw, they're standing too far out, either here, yeah, where it pulls them too strongly into just the material, the ego experience, or they're standing too much over here, where it pulls them too far out of the 3D reality into like some kind of spiritual la la land. When you stand right in the middle, yeah, right here, yeah, that's your true self, right here. That's when you're the strongest. And we use the breath, okay, to fill this with life, to fill this with power, yeah, as you're filling it with oxygen, if you will, the breath of your soul. Okay, and you're like, all right, let me take a deep breath here. Okay, I'm standing in front of a tribunal somehow. Yeah, and I gotta justify something. And I'm telling you, and even if you agree that you made a mistake, it's fine. And say, yes, I made a mistake. Because at the time of making that decision, you know, based on whatever the information or the way things appeared to me at that point, that seemed to be the best choice. I now know better, which means in the future I will make better choices. So there's not even a lot of like, oh my God, I made a mistake. It's just like, okay, I just need to be more connected with myself. And that then also, because it perpetrates, okay, it also helps me to make better decisions in the future. So if we want to have a better future, we need to embrace those kinds of situations that question us, yeah? But without feeling the need to justify or excuse or blame or, you know, point away from us. No, you know, we can take it and we can say, yeah. But in me is, and I don't obviously know what this is about, Emer. Okay, in your energy reading, it said you need to make a stance. This is about you learning how to make a stance. Yeah? And making a stance doesn't mean attacking others. Making a stance means staying within yourself and knowing who you are, knowing what you're doing. Again, here, knowing what you're doing doesn't mean being the expert or perfect in everything. Yeah. It just means that you're consciously doing what you're doing. Yeah. And that's then what shields you from all that. Yeah. So it's this part that our ego refuses that creates so much pain in us. Because basically what I'm saying is, well, in order to, you need to do this. Okay, in order to do this, you need to do this. The very same thing. And that's really what it is that I'm saying. Yeah, in order to be more true to yourself, you have to be more true to yourself. Yeah. And it is challenging. So what can we change about this? We cannot change the fact that it feels challenging, but we can change our attitude toward it and can say, you know, obviously, you know, we can say, okay, every of these challenges is a great opportunity. That's my first tip. Yeah, and if there are situations with coworkers, say, or, you know, in conjunction with our social structure, yeah, where things seem to repeat, then we also need to ask ourselves why, you know, this keeps repeating. What is it that we're not doing? What is it that we're not doing to stop this? Yeah. So if I keep on getting questioned by others, apparently, to me, that means I'm not being clear enough to other people.
And the fear of being questioned, you know, if everything is going well and there's this fear, the same thing will come up again. So that's the same thing. Just when it comes up, just say, okay, why is this coming up from me?
It's pre-programmed, Emer. It's just like when a police car is driving behind you in traffic, right? This immediate, feeling like a criminal, even though you didn't do anything wrong. Okay, that's pre-programmed.
I'm having a lot of that. Yeah.
That's pre-programmed. Actually, there's a way to cultivate that. It doesn't work in all of your countries, but if you actually go into knowing a cop, like a traffic cop, and you build a relationship, and it's like, okay, it's just another human, okay, and they have to drive their cars, to get from A to B too. Just because they're behind me doesn't mean they're questioning me or observing me or whatever. They have other things in their head as well. So that's ultimately what we call empathy. Yeah, this is where you connect with what others go through, and it kind of neutralizes the fear in you. Yeah, it's this ego part, Emer, that makes everything so personal. And that's why, I talk about these collective energies with you guys all the time, so that you can see it's not personal. There are some personal aspects, and we need to figure them out. Yeah, so things that repeat in our life, they are personal. But the overall mechanisms of, how to connect more with our deeper inner truths, how to become able to trust ourselves more, yeah, all that still has to be lived, guys. It has to be lived. There is no shortcut, guys. There is no fancy spiritual technique, okay, that's going to make you stand up. When somebody says, what did you do there? Why did you do that? No, you're going to have to do that. Yeah, and that is how we bring ourselves into expression. This is the balance, guys. This is when it all comes together, okay? You got your ego self and you got your spiritual soul self, true self, yeah, that have this 3D experience. And right here in the middle, that is, okay, what's called life. And that can happen with or without you. If it happens without you, well, you always run around with all these question marks in your head and confused and don't know what you're doing, and life feels meaningless, and you just try to escape it. If you live it consciously and you know what you're doing, even if you're wrong sometimes, doesn't matter, yeah, then you don't feel anxious. You're not afraid of that anymore because you know what you're doing, even if you're wrong. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thanks for speaking up. Thanks for expressing. It's super, super important. This was part of the session, and very much so part of our current collective energies right now is that you learn to spiritually express yourself. This vocabulary, yeah, to talk about your physical sensations, your energetic sensations, your emotional sensations, your mental sensations, yeah, like signals, I call them, and these difficult to describe spiritual processes is exactly what cultivates that relationship, is exactly what you need in order to shield yourself from these distractions that are coming in from the outer world. Yeah. There's many, many studies that show that if somebody doesn't have the vocabulary, they're unable to discern it. Yeah, all the way to language, to facial expressions and so forth. If you do not tune into it and form an expression around it, yeah, like a vocabulary around it, then you will be unable to perceive them. If you want to spiritually see, if you want to spiritually understand and discern, you have to cultivate these organs in you that allow you to experience the spiritual and the energetic. And one way of cultivating it is to talk about it. Because the more you develop your spiritual vocabulary, the more spiritual things you're going to be able to receive. If your world is determined by 2 or 3 states, yeah, yes or no, or good or bad, and meh, okay, which is 60% of people have only 3 descriptors for their experience. Oh, great. Oh, terrible. Okay, if those are the only descriptors you have, well, then I'm going to have to tell you that your life's experience is exactly going to be like that. So spiritual expression. This session was about the inventory, then the connection part, yeah, where we really learn how to connect in real time, and then experiencing how your perception changes, how you can see, oh, this really just depends on me and how I choose to experience it. And then the third part, how I choose to express it. Yeah. So the solstice 2023 here in June is all about taking inventory and seeing the pendulum or the seesaw and making a choice. So those of you who are feeling that they are urged, that there's a sense of urgency, you're not off, guys. But what you don't understand is that it is a distraction to think that, oh, it's about right or wrong. Oh, I got to make the right decision now. Yeah, and what if I do the wrong decision? That's when you pulled into the ego material stuff too much. And when you think that none of that affects you, like people who, stay away from news and don't talk to other people, don't go into any of the 3D interactions, and just live sort of in their own little escapism fantasy world. Okay, they're sitting on the other end of the seesaw, the other extreme. And neither of them is going to be able to make meaning of any of what is happening right now. So before I let you go, I decided that all of you who came here to the True Self session today, that if you wanted to go into the masculine and feminine energy transmissions that happens tonight here, 11 p.m. Florida time, which is, it's 4 a.m. in Ireland, 5 a.m. in Europe, and 11 a.m. in Perth, Australia, then please use the repeater rate. It's a reduced rate for you because this would be the second energy session for you in a day. And guess what? This divine masculine feminine energy session is all about. It's about finding a balance, and it teaches you a few more energy work techniques that can help you to find that middle ground. Yeah, that can help you to find this inner experience of truth and cultivate it. Also, starting tomorrow, starting on the 23rd, I have a special rate here for the Energy Training Club. That means that you can participate in all lectures, energy sessions of the month for 30 days. Yeah, and if you're in the Sacred Self-Healing Program, you even get a discount on it. So yeah, it's $149 for, 20 energy sessions, 2 workshops, and all the lectures and so forth that I do throughout a month. That's a really, really good deal, guys. So yeah, if you want to make sense of what is happening right now, you're going to have to step into it and learn how to breathe with it. That's how you can find truth. Thank you, everybody, for coming. If you have a question about this session and your energy session, your personal energy in particular, then please go to our energy training forum and ask the question there. Yeah, I will respond to you, or do this here in the comment section of the video. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Oh, and very, very special thank you to our co-facilitators that helped to facilitate this energy healing session with 83 people.